Today we're diving into three stories that well, they don't play by the normal rules. We're talking about a sacred forest where science seems to fail, a legendary sunken city that turned out to be real, and a 911 call that defies all logic. This is a journey right to the edge of what we think we know.
And that's really the big question here, isn't it? When you're faced with something that can't be explained by science or reason or just plain common sense, what do you do? Where do you even begin? Our first mystery takes us deep into a forest that's been posing this very question for centuries.
So, we start our journey in Vrindavan, India, in a forest called Nidhivan. Now, by day, it's a beautiful, peaceful place of pilgrimage. But as soon as the sun goes down, it's like the rule book of nature gets thrown right out the window, and something else entirely takes over.
Okay, so you probably remember this from science class, phototropism. It's a simple idea. Plants grow up, right? They reach for the sunlight. It's one of the most fundamental rules of biology. But in Nidhivan, that rule is completely flipped on its head. The trees here don't reach for the sky. Their branches twist and grow downwards, toward the earth, almost like they're bowing.
And believe me, the weirdness does not stop there. For one thing, the soil is incredibly dry, but the forest is always green and lush. And the trees themselves, look at this, not a single one grows alone. They always grow in pairs, with their branches tangled together like dancing partners. But the most unsettling thing happens right at dusk. Every single animal, the monkeys, the birds, all of them, they get out of there. They flee the forest like they know something's coming that they are not supposed to see. The local belief is that these aren't trees at all, but 16,000 divine spirits who take on their true form after dark.
Right in the middle of this forest, there's a small palace called Rang Mahal. And every single evening, priests perform this very specific ritual. They carefully prepare a bed made of sandalwood with a perfectly clean, smooth white sheet. Beside it, they leave offerings, a jug of fresh water, a couple of neem twigs used for brushing teeth, and something called pan, which is a sweet betel leaf. And then, the room is sealed. We're talking 7 heavy locks. The entire forest is then declared off-limits until sunrise.
This is where it gets truly unbelievable. When the priests come back at 5 in the morning, they unlock all 7 of those locks and step inside this completely sealed room. The bed sheets, which were perfectly smooth, are now rumpled, as if someone actually slept there. The water jug is half empty. The neem twigs look like they've been chewed on, and the pan is gone. Inside a locked room in a sealed forest, there's proof that someone or something was there.
So the obvious question is, why not just stick a camera in there? Well, people have tried to find out what's going on. The local legends are filled with these absolutely chilling stories. The most famous one is about a guy from Jaipur who was sure it was all a hoax. He snuck in and hid in the forest overnight. They found him the next morning and he was alive, but his mind was just gone. He couldn't see, he couldn't speak, and he died not long after. It's a pretty powerful warning that maybe, just maybe, some mysteries aren't meant for us to solve.
So Nidhivan asks us to believe in something that's happening right now, just out of our sight. Our next story is a bit different. This one asks us to believe in something that happened thousands of years ago, a place that for most of history was just a myth. That is, until science found it at the bottom of the ocean. We are headed to the lost city of Dwarka. According to the ancient epic, the Mahabharata, the great city of Dwarka was basically doomed from the start by 2 powerful curses. The first was from a grieving mother, Gandhari, who swore the city's people would tear themselves apart. The second came from a prank that went horribly wrong, leading to a prophecy that a cursed iron pestle would be their downfall. And, just as predicted, exactly 36 years later, it all came true. The clan destroyed itself in a massive brawl, and after their leader, Krishna, left the mortal world, the ocean itself supposedly rose up and swallowed the entire city in an instant. Now what's wild is how specific these ancient texts are. They say that when Krishna asked the sea god for land to build his city, he was given exactly 12 yojanas. A yojana is just an ancient way of measuring distance. For thousands of years, this was just a tiny detail in a great story. But I want you to remember that number, 12. Okay, now let's fast forward a few thousand years to the 1980s. A team of marine archaeologists led by a Dr. S.R. Rao are exploring the ocean floor off the coast of modern-day Gujarat. And what they find is just mind-blowing. The remains of a huge, incredibly well-planned city. We're talking massive walls, streets, buildings, all just sleeping under the waves. So, of course, the scientists took samples. Carbon dating confirmed that the artifacts they found were from the exact same time period as the Mahabharata.
But the most incredible discovery, the real jaw-dropper, came when they measured the full extent of the city's ruins. The area of this real submerged city was, you guessed it, precisely 12 yojanas. The exact number from a mythological story matched the physical reality they found on the ocean floor.
So we've looked at faith that defies science, and myth that became history. But our last story is different. This isn't about ancient gods or legends. This is about a single phone call, in our modern world, from somewhere very, very dark.
For our final story, we're getting to rural Iowa, to a 911 dispatch center in the dead of night. At exactly 2:41 in the morning, a call comes in, and it starts as what sounds like a crime, but it ends as something much, much stranger.
That's the very first thing the dispatcher heard. It wasn't a scream, it wasn't a cry for help, it was a desperate whisper. It's the sound of pure terror, just trying to stay hidden. You hear that, and you know right away this is not a normal call. The story just tumbled out in these hushed, terrified whispers. She'd accepted a ride from a guy who seemed totally normal, but then he drove right past her turnoff and stopped next to this enormous cornfield. She just bolted and ran. On the call, you can hear a truck door slam and a man's voice yelling out into the dark. She's hiding somewhere in the corn, and he is actively hunting for her. The police are on their way, but they're 3 minutes out, and 3 minutes is an eternity when you can hear footsteps getting closer.
And then, through the dark, she saw something that changed everything. It turned this from a simple chase into something truly evil. She whispered to the dispatcher, "He's smiling." He wasn't just trying to find her, he was enjoying it.
And then, just a sharp scream. Cut short. The line went dead. Police got there, they found the truck, still warm, and her cell phone just lying in the mud. But there was no sign of her, no signs of a struggle, no blood, nothing. The guy who owned the truck was questioned, but with no body and zero evidence, he walked. The case went completely cold.
But the story wasn't over. Not even close. 3 nights later, another call comes in from the exact same spot, at the exact same time, 2:41 a.m. It was her voice, strangely calm, just whispering, "He found me." A week after that, the suspect, the man from the truck, he shows up at the police station absolutely terrified. He says he's getting calls every night at 2:41 a.m., just dead silence and the sound of wind rustling through corn. 2 weeks after that first call, he was found dead in his garage. No injuries, but his face was frozen and a mask of pure terror. The last thing recorded on his phone was a whisper. "I told you he could hear me."
So, a sacred forest that defies the laws of science, a mythical city proven by archaeology, and a ghost story told over a 911 call. 3 totally different events, all tied together by this one unsettling thread. They ask us to believe in something that's just beyond our reach.
So what do we do with stories like these? Do you try to find the logical hole, the rational explanation, the trick behind the curtain? Or do you leave a little room for the possibility that there are things in this world, whether they're divine or ancient or just plain horrifying, that simply don't care about our rules?
Right behind you,